All right, we're going to start lesson 15 with multiplying and dividing integers with some application problems. Make sure you have out your guided notes. There are 2 sides to these guided notes, so please make sure you have that ready to go. And as another reminder, for going over the rules when we multiply and divide integers, is that when we multiply or divide 2 integers with the same sign, so maybe 2 positives or 2 negatives, the answer is always positive. And then when we multiply or divide 2 integers with different signs, so we've got maybe a positive and a negative, the answer will be always negative. So with applications with integers, there's a lot of different keywords that kind of tell you or signal you whether we're going to be talking about positive or negative integers. So we're going to go over a couple of those. All right. So a depth is the measure of like how far down we go, which so means usually negative. So the depth in like maybe you're swimming, right? Elevation or altitude is a measure of like going up. So maybe you're in a plane, and so that's going to work with positive numbers. Below sea level means we're working with negative numbers. So here's our sea level. We're at 0, and we're going down. So it's negative numbers. Above sea level means we're working with positive numbers. So here's that sea level of 0, and we're going to go up, right? To ascend means to also go up, so positive numbers. And then descend means we're to go down, so working with maybe negative numbers. And some more examples. A 10-yard gain, that gain is a big hint. In football can be described using positive numbers because we gained some yards. So a 10-yard loss in football means we're going to lose yards, so we're going to work with negative numbers, right? Profit means that you are gaining some money, made a profit from something, and so we're going to go with positive numbers. Debt or debit means that maybe you owe someone money, and so we're going to work with negative numbers. So you may be owe money, right? And that's the same one. Withdrawal means that you take out maybe some money, and so we're working with that negative numbers. If the temperature is above 0, then you can describe it as using positive numbers. And if the temperature is below 0, then we can describe it as using negative numbers. So we're just going to go over some words with numbers and seeing if they would be positive or negative, so then we can start our word problems. All right, 15 meters below sea level. Well, below sea level is down below, going negative, so we're going to write that as negative 15 in meters. And I'm going to leave some labeling because we are doing application problems. Number 2, we lose 10 pounds. So that's going to be a negative 10. We lost 10 pounds. And I'll be LBS for pounds. 25 degrees above 0 means it's a positive 25 degrees outside. If it's negative 25, whoo, cold. We get a profit of $30, meaning I gained $30. So we keep it as a positive. Don't need to write a positive sign. I deposit $15 into my bank account, so I put $15 in my bank account, so still staying positive. But then I withdraw of $100 from my bank account, so I took out that negative. I took out $100 in my bank account. All right, now that we've gone over some clues with working with application problems, we're going to actually solve these and see if we're using positive or negatives with these as well, okay? So after being exposed to an electromagnetic shrinking machine, Joe's height decreased, that's a big word, by 65 and 7,200 centimeters over 1 second. His height decreased by the same amount for every second, right? So it was consistent. How much did his height decrease after 6 seconds? Well, let's see. I like to set these up like we did kind of our unit rate section. So I'm going to have it's 65.72 centimeters per 1 second. Right? So that's what it started with. That's how much he's decreasing every single second. Well, I need to figure out how much did he decrease after 6 seconds. So we need to figure out how much his height is decreasing after 6 seconds. So how am I going to get from here to here? Well, we're going to times it by 6. So we're going to take what he takes per 1 second and times that by 6. Right? So make sure you write that down. I'm going to make some more space. All right, so we are going to get our decimals. We got 65 and 72. Remember those rules. We're going to not worry about the negatives right now. We'll worry about that in a second. And we're going to times it by 6. All right, so I'm going to set up my problem. All right, so those decimals I'm going to just move out for right now, knowing I moved it twice, okay? And 6 times 2 gives me 12. 6 times 7 gives me 42 plus 1 gives me 43. 6 times 5 gives me 30 plus 4 is 34. Bring that up. 6 times 6 gives me 36 plus 3 gives me 39. Now that's not my answer. Remember, I took out some decimals, so I got to bring those back in twice. 1, 2, and it's going to go right here. So this is what we think we're answering on, but how am I going to write this correctly? And did it positive or negative? Well, it says he's decreasing this much. So he's decreasing. So we're going to actually write this out, not necessarily use the signs, but we do know he's going negative. He's going down in size. So he decreased 394 32 thousandths of a centimeter in 6 seconds. So that is my answer. I'm answering the question, how much did his height decrease? After 6 seconds, it decreased 394 and 32 hundredths. Centimeters, make sure you're labeling. All right, let's start our second problem. So a football team loses 2 yards every 5 minutes. How many yards did the team lose after 15 minutes? Well, let's write down our important ones. So when we lose yards, we are going negative 2 yards. They're moving backwards. They should be moving forward. And they're losing that every 5 minutes. All right, they want us to figure out how many yards they lose after 15 minutes. So I'm keeping my units together, okay, keeping those minutes together. And well, what do we times 5 by to get 15? We're going to times that by 3. What I do to the bottom, I do to the top. All right, so we are going to keep, let's go ahead and keep our negative signs. We got that negative 2 yards times a positive 3. All right, so our answer is going to be negative. And 2 times 3 gives me 6. So let's write that up here. All right. Now, though, I want us to write it in a sentence. All right. So how many yards did the team lose after 15 minutes? Well, let's go ahead and write that. They lost. So since I already used the word lost, I'm probably not going to use that sign anymore of negative. They lost 6 yards in 15 minutes. All right, making sure I'm full sentence and labeling all of my answers. All right, let's go ahead and start our last practice problem. A penalty in Meteor Mania is a negative 5 seconds. A penalty in Cosmic Calamity is negative 7 seconds. So Yolanda had penalties totaling a negative 25 seconds in a game of Meteor Mania and a negative 35 seconds in a game of Cosmic Calamity. In which game did Yolanda receive more penalties? Justify our answers. All right, so we're working with 2. Let's go ahead and put what goes together. So Meteor Mania, she could lose 5 seconds, negative 5 seconds, and in that game, she lost a total of negative 25 seconds. All right, she lost those. And then in Cosmic Calamity, it was, here, let's go ahead and label that, MM. And then Cosmic Calamity, you would lose 7 seconds, and she lost a total of 35. So we got to figure out which one did she receive more penalties. Well, I got to figure out how many penalties she happened in all of them. So I'm going to actually divide. So if I want to see how many times 5 goes into 25 to figure out those, we're going to move our signs to the side for now, okay? And we're going to take 25 and divide it by 5. And well, 5 goes into 25 5 times. So she had 5 penalties on this side. Now, is this positive or negative? Well, I had a negative divided by a negative. It's gonna say positive, even though the penalties are negative, but she had a total of 5 penalties for this game, okay? And then for our Cosmic Calamity, we're gonna take this 35 and divide it by 7. And well, I know goes in 5 times. She had 5 penalties. Can I spell? T's, there we go. Spelling, good job. All right, so now, well, I got the same answer, and they're both positive because a negative times a negative, or negative divided by a negative is a positive. So how would I answer this? Well, we would be writing, and let me take some time to clear this up real quick. So I'm going to put those over here. She had 5 penalties here, and 5 penalties here. And so with my answer, she received the same amount of penalties. Because she had 5 in both games. Because when we do our division, we both got those answers to 5. So our answer is she had the same amount of penalties in both games. All right, now it's time for you to do some practice on your own. So head to your assignment under this video and go ahead and get started.